South Africans, young people, Nosiposo Begwa, the maritime mentor. For the first time in my life, I've decided to expose the riches of the sea to the young South Africans who have no jobs, who have degrees, but they don't know what to do with their degrees. The maritime sector is in short of skills. The maritime sector needs you, irrespective of the skill you have, you feature, as long as you are correctly placed. The maritime sector offers a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, this lecture is about mentoring young people. It's about telling them to make choices at sea. Even the topic is saying oceans to the people, an elementary introduction so that people know where to go from university to the oceans in South Africa. I am saying oceans because technically South Africa doesn't have a sea. We don't have a sea. I'm repeating myself, ladies and gentlemen, South Africa doesn't have a sea. A sea, a proper definition of a sea, means the water that enters the land, like the Mediterranean Sea, the Red Sea, the Caspian Sea, the North Sea, etc. So, as we are surrounded by oceans, the Indian Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and the Agulhas Ocean in the southern tip of South Africa. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are lucky. Amongst nations of the world, we are one of those nations that are surrounded by a vast sphere of water. So, basically, I want to say to you, there are jobs at sea. Having said that, my introduction to the oceans, inviting you to what we are doing at sea, it will be about the geographic positioning of South Africa vis-a-vis other nations of the world. South Africa is lucky to be in the southern tip of Africa. As I have already said, it is surrounded by water as well. The borders of South Africa are Namibia in the Atlantic, the Indian Ocean in the Mozambique side, and the Agulhas south is facing the Antarctica. In the deep of Europe, not far, you have the Arctic Ocean. So that's how the waters of the world. Other countries of the world are surrounded by the Pacific Ocean, but us is the Indian and the Atlantic, basically. South Africa is not only about itself as far as the oceans are concerned. We have other countries that are landlocked that are served by South Africa as far as the jobs and exports and imports are concerned. Botswana, Zimbabwe, Swaziland, and Lesotho, all those are served by South Africa. They solely depend on the South African oceans for their maritime transport, meaning exporting and exporting to other countries in the world. South Africans really know little about the seas. Yes, we go and swim. Yes, we go and enjoy ourselves. But not everybody in South Africa knows exactly what else. It's only those who are coastal, who understand what the sea is all about, apart from swimming. The sea has a lot to offer, like we export the goods from inland via our ports. South Africa is lucky to have 8 ports that are serving the country in the form of exportation and importation. Whilst we are importing goods or exporting goods, we have the maritime transport that is there to assist us to take goods from point A to point B, which means goods are manufactured inland, like the cars that are manufactured in East London. They are brought to the ports by road and rail transport. Then they are shipped. The ships are already waiting to take this cargo to all over the world. Whilst the rail and road transport are transporting the cargo towards the ports in South Africa, at the same time, that system is offering jobs to the people of South Africa. Some people are truck drivers. Some people are loading the cargo. Some people are packaging the cargo from the source, that is freight and logistics. Having done that, the trucks take everything to the port. In the port as well, there are people who are waiting to receive the cargo. The warehouses are there, and they are manned by the people. The people, the stevedores, people who are going to load that cargo to the ship. So that those are jobs. Some of the people are offering the ships everything they need in a port, starting from utensils, food, liquor, those we call chandlers. That is another kind of business we can have at sea and employ people. Having said that, we have people who study to be seafarers. To be a seafarer, it means that you are the person who is going to form a crew in a vessel, and you assist to manage the cargo inside until it reaches its destination. Some of the seafarers are not only managing the cargo, they are also managing the ship itself. The ship is supposed to be safe and secure, and also it is supposed to be technically qualified to sail around the world. It has got to be trustworthy, because if it is not, there are accidents and incidents that occur. So, the purpose of this manual is to introduce young people to a variety of jobs found at sea, to a variety of courses that can be chosen so that one ends up working at sea in the maritime sector. When I talk about maritime, I mean all activities at sea. They are categorized under one word, maritime. But we further have those who are doing technical work, which we categorize under marine activities. For instance, those who are managing or protecting the ecosystem, and those who are engineers, then we define and categorize them under marine services. There is a lot, the list is not exhausted in that area. There are those who are dealing with the economic part of the maritime sector. Some of them, they go straight to maritime transport economics. There are those who are dealing with the ports and harbors, managing the systems there. that is another qualification you can choose to get to the maritime sector. This information has not been spread enough. Maritime has not been marketed so that our students understand it very well and choose it when they are still at high school. So this manual is about introducing maritime to high school students. Basically, I am about high school students and their choices of subjects. Choose mathematics and science, and then you have your key to the technical side of maritime. But that is not the end of it. You can be a maritime lawyer. You can be an engineer. You can be an environmental manager. You can be a maritime transport economist. You can be a welder. You can be a painter. You can be a nurse. You can be a doctor, etc. Basically, all the qualifications that are required on land, we also require them at sea. The mistake our students should not do is to place themselves in a category where they don't qualify. That will mean you are destroying your life. In maritime, you choose your category and you go on with it. Otherwise, the maritime is not only for seafarers. I am repeating myself. It is not only for seafarers. It is about everybody. Everybody has a share as far as the qualifications are concerned. So the challenge is lack of knowledge. The challenge is that some of our students are far away from the sea, such as those who are in Mpumalanga, Limpopo, Northwest, and other provinces that are landlocked. We have the Western Cape, the Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, the Northern Cape. Those 4 provinces are coastal in nature. So the students, they are better off than the students who are in landlocked provinces. We appeal to those students to study maritime, but before they can do that, they must choose maths and science so that they don't have too much competition at sea. What I've said in my last statement doesn't mean that somebody who has done other courses, subjects in matric level, we don't accept them at sea. There's a lot to be offered. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the situation in South Africa. I have been working in government for years, leading the maritime sector, attending international meetings, gaining experience after a long time of studying maritime. But during that time, I couldn't mentor, reasons being that my office was very busy. Now that I have time, I am bringing the maritime sector to everybody, because I found that even us in government, those departments who have something to do with the marine and maritime environment, we don't understand one another as to what one department is doing. Sometimes we find ourselves invading other departments' role without understanding the legislation. Everything is about legislation. Each and every department has got its own legislation. There's no reason why we should invade one another's space. Having talked about the roles each department, roles the government departments play, there is what we call integration. where these government departments work together so that they deliver on the subject matter when we have challenges at sea, such as disasters. Now, the key objectives of this manual I am bringing to you are to introduce the maritime sector to the people of South Africa, to elaborate on the ocean's importance, to present careers to the South Africans and the youth, to introduce business opportunities to all South Africans, to attract landlocked provinces to the ownership of oceans, to explain the role of the UN in oceans and seas, to familiarize South Africans with the protection of marine environment, to deliberate on how safety, security of life and property at sea is ensured, to present the governance of oceans, to share information with landlocked countries bordering South Africa. So the targeted readers or users of the manual are students, potential business owners, artisans, ratings, policy developers, representatives at international maritime organizations, government departments in the maritime sector. So those are the people who are supposed to use the manual, who are supposed to refer to this manual and remind themselves of their role in oceans. So we move cargo. That is very important. Transport is very important. Transport is the heartbeat of the South African economy. But I believe each and every country is saying that. So transport will be an all-rounder in everything that I'm going to say in this manual, because the Department of Transport is central. It will be working with the Department of Environmental Affairs. It will be cooperating with SAPS, the Department of Justice, Department of Agriculture, Trade and Industry, Economic Development of South Africa, and all others. And also all the state-owned entities, such as Transnet, Eskom, Telkom. They have something to do with the oceans, like they have something to do with the land. If there are no jobs on land, there are jobs in the oceans. If you have no business on land, there are businesses in the ocean. That's why I said I'm going to elaborate in these things. Therefore, the maritime transport, because I'm going to start with the maritime transport, will provide jobs and businesses at sea, because I have already said that we move cargo from point A to point B. Cargo is moved using transport, whether it's road or rail, aviation, and maritime. Cargo has to move forward. Then we have passenger vessels. Passenger vessels move cargo as well, but a different one. This is not cargo for driving the economy. It's cargo in the sense that there are suitcases and bag luggage, let me put it that way. Then once it enters a passenger vessel, it becomes cargo in one way or another, but not in the context of trade. So passenger vessels are solely meant for leisure, pleasure, cruising if you want, moving from point A to point B, visiting different countries, seeing the world, sightseeing, enjoying yourself. You start enjoying in the passenger vessel itself, a cruise liner if you want, and also to your country of destination. Now, jobs in a passenger vessel. There are jobs there starting from housekeepers, engineers, doctors, nurses, cleaners, surveyors, environmentalists. Everything is required there. Everybody is accepted in a passenger vessel. Musicians, really, because people in a passenger vessel should be entertained. There are swimming pools, so people who will be monitoring people who are swimming are required there. There are creatures there, children are taken somewhere else where they can play by themselves. These are jobs for everybody. So that is a passenger vessel. That's what it does. It is a journey that doesn't end anywhere. It is going slowly. This vessel is going slowly, but people are happy inside. And they are served with food and drinks. They are dancing, they are enjoying. But they have to be managed by workers there. So young South Africans can apply for jobs in the passenger vessels. Boats and boating. You know that we have inland waterways. In those waterways, we have small vessels where people are cruising, where people are enjoying themselves. These boats and the boating industry, they are also having their own sport there. Still, ladies and gentlemen, there are jobs there where people could enjoy. We have another means of transport, that is barges. They are not self-propelled. They have no engine. It's just being pulled by the push and pulled by the tugs. You find those things. What is their role? Barges carry the cargo from one point to another. They are usual, mostly, though we have them in ports as well, but they are usually used in river systems, in those ports that have got rivers like the River Thames, for instance. You'll see the barges being pushed and pulled up and down the River Thames towards the port. They are carrying cargo. We have tugs. I've already mentioned tugs. Tugs are pulling the vessels that are in distress. They are assisting whenever a vessel cannot be moving by itself. Sometimes it has technical problems. We use tugs to pull those ships to the ship repairing facilities or the docking facilities. Ladies and gentlemen, I've already mentioned the tracking systems. Trucks are moving the cargo in and out the port. So all this transport I'm talking about is defined as the maritime transport. As long as it is in a port, it is a maritime transport. Maritime transport does not necessarily mean a ship. As I have already mentioned, the tugs, the barges, and also there are trucks there that are moving in and out the port. This cargo sometimes has to wait in a port, wait for a ship that will come on a certain date, or wait for a ship that is still anchoring outside the port limits, because it is queuing to enter the port. It is waiting for the berthing space. Whilst that is happening on the seaside, landward side, we have warehousing. warehousing that is accommodating the cargo, the waiting cargo, so that these vessels that are waiting get it from there. So that is another kind of business you can get at sea, and also that business employs people. So I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, or young people, you must be prepared to work in a port as well. You must be prepared to work overseas as well. I say overseas because the sea is international in nature. The borders, you can't say the water has a border, really. The water is all over. The borders are there, but as far as water is concerned, you cannot stop South African waters getting to Mozambique. So that is why the oceans are regulated at international level, not national. Yes, we have our own national legislation, but it is aligned to the conventional system. Ladies and gentlemen, this introduction is long. I want to pause for today so that you keep in mind what I have already said, because next weekend on a Saturday I will be doing another lecture. I will be doing my lectures on this area on Saturdays at a chosen time. I will be sitting here talking to young people. For today is not much. It's just introducing the oceans, our oceans. I'll talk about the seas as well. But for now, I want to use the term oceans so that South Africans get used to it and know that we don't have the seas. But as the time goes on, whatever lecture I am doing will be on my website. You'll get my website at www.memec.org. MEMEC is MEMEC. You'll get each and every lecture from there. If you want to get it for yourself, it will be readily available. I thank you.